Hey everyone, ever had someone who once dismissed you, ignored you, or maybe even hurt you, suddenly reappear in your life? It's a confusing, sometimes unsettling experience. Why does this happen? As Stoics, we understand the importance of reason and virtue. We know external events don't define us, but our reactions do. So, today, we'll explore the hidden reasons behind these reappearances, using Stoic wisdom to understand the motivations of others, manage our reactions, and ultimately, find peace in any outcome. We'll be talking about things like how people's circumstances change, the role of regret, the opportunity for personal growth, and of course, the Stoic perspective on acceptance. Alright, so let's dive into why someone who once rejected you might suddenly reappear. It's rarely as simple as them suddenly realizing you're amazing, though that's nice to think about, right? More often than not, it's a mix of different factors. First off, people change. Their lives change. Someone who dismissed you before might now be in a completely different situation. Maybe they've experienced setbacks, life throws curveballs. Or, ironically, perhaps they've achieved a goal and are now in a place where they feel they can reach out. They might have grown as a person, too. We all evolve, hopefully, and sometimes that evolution leads people to reevaluate past decisions. Then there's regret. Sometimes, people genuinely regret their past actions. They've had time to reflect, maybe some life experience of their own, and they realize they made a mistake. It's not always about you specifically, it's about their internal journey and coming to terms with their choices. It's about them, not necessarily a sudden surge of appreciation for you. It's important to remember that. Another reason? They might need something. Perhaps they're going through a difficult time and, for whatever reason, they've chosen to reach out to you. This might be about them seeking something they perceive you possess, like resilience. Maybe they think you handle tough situations well, or understanding, perhaps they think you're a good listener. It could be anything, and sometimes, it's less about you as a person and more about what they think you can offer them at that moment. And let's be honest, sometimes, people misjudge us initially. They might have had a limited or inaccurate perception of who you are. Maybe they only saw a certain side of you, or maybe they were influenced by gossip or their own biases. Now, something's changed, they see you in a new light, and they're reconsidering their initial judgment. It happens. Finally, and we have to be real about this, sometimes it's simply about their ego. They might be testing the waters, seeing if you're still interested, or trying to validate themselves. It's a bit of a power play, honestly. They want to see if they still have that pull and if they can still get a reaction from you. It's not necessarily malicious, but it's something to be aware of. So, yeah, it's a complicated mix of reasons, and rarely just one thing. Okay, so now we understand some of the why behind their reaching out. But how do we, as Stoics, navigate this situation? This is where our philosophy shines. First and foremost, we have the dichotomy of control. This is crucial here. We can't control why someone reached out. We don't know their true motivations, and frankly, it doesn't matter. What we can control is how we respond. That's where our power lies. We choose our actions, our judgments, and our reactions. This whole thing can be seen as an opportunity for growth, a chance to practice acceptance and detachment, core tenets of Amor Fati. Embrace the situation, not necessarily the person's actions, but the situation itself, as a chance to strengthen your Stoic muscles. It's a chance to practice what we preach. Now, what's the virtuous thing to do here? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. Is it to offer forgiveness? Maybe. Is it to set firm boundaries? Absolutely, if that's what protects your peace. Is it to simply move on and not engage at all? That's perfectly valid too. Let your values, and your understanding of virtue, guide your decisions. Don't get caught up in the past rejection. That's done. Focus on the present moment. What's happening now? What's being said now? Practice mindfulness. Be present in the interaction and make your decisions based on what's happening in front of you, not on past hurts. This is also a great opportunity for some self-reflection, a Stoic self-reflection. How have you grown, practicing Stoic principles, since the initial rejection? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about your values? Maybe you've become more resilient, and more detached from external opinions. Use this as a chance to acknowledge your progress. And finally, and this is so important, protect your peace. If reconnecting with this person, for whatever reason, will bring more negativity or pain into your life, it's okay to say no. Setting boundaries is a virtuous act of self-care. It's not selfish, it's essential. It's about protecting your mental and emotional well-being, which allows you to live more virtuously in other areas of your life. So, don't feel guilty about setting boundaries. It's a key part of living a good, Stoic life. Okay, let's get into some practical examples of how to apply these Stoic principles. Because theory is great, but real-world application is where it counts. Let's say a former friend, someone who maybe gossiped about you or betrayed your trust, reaches out. A Stoic wouldn't necessarily rush back into that friendship. They would consider whether reconnecting aligns with virtue. Even if the friend's past actions weren't virtuous, the Stoic would focus on their character and their response. Is this the right thing for me to do? Does this align with my values? They might choose to offer forgiveness, not for the friend's sake, but for their peace of mind. Or they might choose to politely decline, recognizing that the relationship is no longer healthy or conducive to their well-being. What about a past romantic interest? Someone who maybe broke your heart. If they reappear, the Stoics would again ask themselves, what is the rational response to this situation? Am I being swayed by lingering emotions, by nostalgia, or by reasoned judgment? Am I focusing on what I can control, my actions, my choices, or am I getting caught up in what I can't control, their feelings, their intentions? They would be honest with themselves about their motivations. Are they seeking validation? Or are they genuinely open to a healthy connection? And let's consider a family member, maybe someone who has been consistently critical or dismissive. Even with family, boundaries are essential. The Stoics would strive for clear and calm communication. They wouldn't engage in emotional outbursts or passive-aggressive behavior. They would communicate honestly and directly, but also with compassion and respect. They might say something like, I appreciate you reaching out, but I need to set some boundaries. I'm happy to talk about your garden, or the latest sports scores, or your shared hobby of birdwatching, but I'm not willing to engage in discussions about my life choices, or criticisms of my partner, or rehashing old family dramas. In all these situations, the focus remains on the present moment. Don't dwell on the past hurts, the past rejections. Focus on the interaction that's happening now. What is being said now? What are you feeling now? Make your decisions based on what's happening at this moment. This is the essence of living by nature, of focusing on what we can control, and of practicing virtue in every interaction. It's not always easy, but it's the Stoic way. So, let's wrap things up. We've covered a lot of ground here. We started by looking at some of the common reasons why someone who once rejected you might reach out again. We talked about how people change, the role of regret, the need for connection, misjudgments, and even ego. It's a complex mix of motivations, and it's rarely just one simple answer. Then we delved into the Stoic perspective. We talked about the all-important dichotomy of control. Remember, we can't control why they reached out, but we control how we respond. That's where our power lies. We explored Amor Fati, embracing the situation as an opportunity for growth, a chance to practice acceptance and detachment. We discussed how virtue should be our guiding principle, asking ourselves, what is the virtuous thing to do in this situation? We emphasized the importance of focusing on the present moment, not dwelling on the past, and practicing mindfulness in our interactions. And we highlighted the crucial role of setting boundaries, protecting our peace, and recognizing that self-care is a virtuous act in itself. We also went through some practical examples, looking at different scenarios like former friends, past romantic interests, and family members. We talked about how to apply Stoic principles in each situation, focusing on rational responses, managing emotions, and communicating clearly and respectfully. Remember those key questions to ask yourself: what is the rational response? Am I being swayed by emotions? Am I focusing on what I can control? Now, here's the big takeaway, the thing I want you to remember: your worth is not determined by other people's opinions of you. It's not determined by whether someone rejected you in the past, or whether they've reappeared now. Your worth comes from within. It comes from your growth, your commitment to living virtuously, and your dedication to fulfilling your duties, whatever those may be. Focus on that. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, according to your values, not according to someone else's judgment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you dealt with similar situations? How did you handle it? What Stoic principles helped you? Sharing your stories can help others who are going through something similar. Let's create a community where we can learn from each other and support each other on our Stoic journeys. If you're interested in learning more about Stoicism and self-improvement, I've got some other videos and resources that you might find helpful. I'll put links in the description below, so be sure to check those out. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep practicing those Stoic principles. It's a journey, not a destination, and every day is a new opportunity to grow and improve.